and they don't understand the steps that it's going to take to actually build a business, you should expect them to react poorly on almost a violent type reaction on their opinions.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I want to be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks for joining us for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today, as the Edmonton Business Consultant, we're talking about how family and friends won't understand entrepreneurship. So again, as the Edmonton Business Consultant, we're talking about how family and friends won't understand your entrepreneurial journey. And we have May here with me today. So May, do a lot of your family and friends understand the CPA journey?
No, they do not. They think that it's just module or reading, you can pass it no problem. They don't understand that there's so many chapters you have to read, and not only read it, but understand it. So when real situations, when someone asks you for tips, you don't give them the wrong advice. You want to give them the best advice to help them with their business. And regulations, it's a long journey that I wish they did understand.
It's hard for people to conceptualize some things if they haven't gone through it, right? So, and the quote that we have here today, we're talking about how family and friends often won't understand the entrepreneurial journey. It's a Gary Vaynerchuk quote. He's very outspoken on this issue, and he says, "You can't live your life based on other people's point of view." I'm tired of people not starting and living their life on one very simple thing, which is they're worried about what other people think. And Industry Canada, they tell us the answers on this. For every 100 people in Canada, there is only 3.9 businesses. So 100 people in Canada, there's every 3.9 businesses. Only 50% of those businesses will ever figure out how to last beyond 5 years. And only 46% of those businesses will ever figure out how to get to 5 or more people. So we're talking less than 1% of the population has any idea of what entrepreneurship is, and what it takes to succeed in entrepreneurship, and the types of decisions you're going to make, and what situations you're going to encounter, and what's the normal. The story that we have here, there's very few people that know what they're talking about, but most business owners, they end up making bad decisions based on the opinions of people that they care about, people that they love. But the problem is that most of these people, they're not one of the 1% of the population who has any idea what they're talking about. They're trying to make decisions in your best interest, but they can't possibly comprehend it because they've never done it before. And a lot of it is counterintuitive. So, mate, what are the questions that these business owners should be asking?
Do most of your family members work for free?
Most of your family members work on a by-hour basis, and they have never been in some sort of, even an internship, let alone a business, where they've had to offer some services for free or reduced market rate. And most anytime, anyone has ever suggested it, they've, thought about calling employment standards and hiring a lawyer if someone even thought about, mentioning that sort of strategy.
Does building a business often involve working on tasks for less than market rate?
Almost every time. Customers do not pay you for the development of your business. They don't pay you for putting together the letterhead. They don't pay you for putting together the checklists and templates to scale your business. They don't pay you for putting the content on your website. They almost all the time, the steps that you need to build your business beyond just a job, so beyond just a solopreneur, you're not going to get paid for up front.
How should you expect your family to react to you working long hours for low pay?
So you got to remember, they've never experienced that, and any experience they have with working for nothing is they think someone is cheating you, and they don't understand the steps that it's going to take to actually build a business. You should expect them to react poorly on almost a violent type reaction on their opinions of how they're going to react. They won't react well just because they've been trained that is wrong, but it's wrong in the context of employment. It's not wrong in the context of building a business that will have future value.
Mm-hmm. Do your family members like to be ignored?
The family members don't like to be ignored. They don't like when someone calls them, and they don't call back, right? Family members, they like to they sing out to you from another room, or they call you on the phone or send you a text message, and they think, oh yeah, that person is going to get back to me right away. That's just the way it is, and that's what their expectation.
In order to be successful at business, do you need to engage in uninterrupted work?
100%. So in order to be successful in business, you got to remember, business is a contact sport. Your competitor is trying to take your customers. They're trying to take dinner off your table. And if you're continually running your business on a perpetual level of distraction, you're checking your phone and talking to people and then diving in and out of tasks, you're not going to be as smart as your competitors. 23 minutes it takes to reach your peak level of intellectual capacity once you've been distracted. So in order to be a successful business owner, we've seen it time and time again, you have to have that, blocks of uninterrupted work, to execute projects at a higher level and to develop systems that are, more well thought out than your competitors.
How should you expect your family to react when you shut off your phone?
So your family, when you want to do these uninterrupted, stints, they're not going to like it. They're going to think that you're ignoring them, and then why are you ignoring me? You're the boss. You can answer the phone whenever you want. Believe it or not, they're probably more likely to be accepting of you turning off your phone when you're working for someone else than when you're working for yourself. They just think it's like a personal slight. Why would you now? I understood when you were working for someone else and your wage was guaranteed that you ignore me, but now why, when you can only put dinner on your table if you execute to a high level, why are you ignoring my phone call? They don't get it. So they're not, they're not going to react well, and that's okay. It's unnatural. You have to make allowances for how unnatural that's going to be, and expect it, because then you're prepared for it and won't throw you off track. So
what can you do to minimize these concerns?
What you should do is just be more scheduled in your approach. So these are the people who want to spend time with you. They want to see that you're reliable. They want to see that you're making good decisions. Be the person who always shows up for an event on time. If you're going to call them at the same time every day. Don't miss the phone calls. Don't show up late. Do what you say you're going to do. And you'll just be able to build some trust on that over time. You're not going to be able to shift their perceptions overnight. In fact, you'll never be able, a lot of times you won't be able to fully shift their perceptions over a long period of time. But if you can start being more reliable, more trustworthy, almost to the extreme. You might have been an 8 before on your reliability scale. Dial it up to 11, right? And then they'll start realizing that, okay, they'll just give you a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt, even though they don't quite understand it. They'll cut you a little slack on it.
So do most people believe the phrase, a penny saved is a penny earned?
Yeah, absolutely. We've even said that when you're a kid. You can go and say that phrase in multiple countries to different cultures, and you start the phrase, a penny saved is, and people will finish your sentence from country to country on that phrase. So it is just like ingrained in our heads of you want to get ahead, you have a job, and you want to save. If you can save that money, it's like earning another penny, because now I can save it and it can be invested and it can start working for me.
Do businesses who spend more on marketing tend to outperform their competitors?
Yeah, so now we look at the world of business and you think that, okay, well, by that rationale, I should spend less on things like marketing. Maybe I should spend less on my staff. But that's not how it works. So when you look at marketing, the companies that win, the top level companies, when you compare them to the mid-level companies or the lower level companies, the top companies are always spending more on marketing on average. They're spending more of their revenue on it. They're not trying to minimize their marketing spend. They're trying to make sure that they're top of mind for all their ideal and likely buyers all the time. So it goes against that grain of what we're taught.
How should you expect your family to react if you explain your marketing costs?
When you start explaining your marketing costs to the family members, it might blow their mind. You start spending a couple of $100s a month or a couple of $1,000s a month. They're thinking, you're spending a couple of $1,000s a month. That's someone's full-time wage. But they don't realize that those people wouldn't have that wage working in that business if you weren't bringing in new customers, right? So a lot of times it's a lot of the business expenditures, not just the marketing expenditures, are going to start to blow your friends and family's minds. And a lot of times the numbers involved are just, different enough to give them anxiety. Not even just the, what the purpose of it is, right? When you start spending more on marketing than most of your family members make in a year, of course, when you tell them that number, they're going to think it's outrageous. They just can't wrap their heads around it, but they don't realize that that's spread amongst, how many different employees who are working in that business. It's not, you're not spending that number to keep yourself working. You're spending that number to keep 10 people working and to grow a business that you're going to sell for more than $1 million and capture market share. So when you start explaining those marketing costs and the other costs of their business, it's going to completely blow their mind, because it's going to look, some of the rationale that you're going to have to use is the complete opposite of that penny saved, a penny earned. Sometimes it's about, investing in your business and, developing scalable systems and getting the right team on board. So they're probably going to think that you lost your mind, and it gets worse when that person is, mom or dad or older brother or older sister has seen, or auntie or uncle, because they're older and you're still the child in the relationship. Even though you're 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years old at this point, they still think that they know better. But you have to just always make that allowance that less than 1% of the population has any idea, because they've never built a business that has 5 or more employees that's last more than 5 years. So, cut them some slack. Don't take it personally. Just be reliable and realize that it'll take some time to change some minds on it. So I think that's what we have here today. As always, please hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds at business. And as always, please leave us some comments so we can respond back and use your input for future videos. Thanks very much.